Alright guys, so welcome back to my channel, and today let's take a look at the 5 tangs I've selected for my display tank. Alright, so before we get started, I had to do some cleaning this morning. I took out my camera, brought it down to my display tank, and noticed that I had a film of algae on my glass. So I took out the Flipper Max and I started scrubbing the front, the sides, and the back just to make sure that they're all clean and cleared, just so that the image that I'm recording is as clear as possible. Alright, so the first tang here that we're going to be looking at is the Bristletooth tang. And I purchased this tang for about $30 from the local fish store. And I was actually looking for a yellow-eyed coal tang, and no one seemed to have it in stock during that time. And I decided to get this guy because he looks similar, and he looks like he was doing a great job there at the LFS grazing on some rocks. So I decided to pull the trigger and purchase this guy. And so far this guy is probably one of the best that I have in here in terms of grazing. So he's always out and about doing some grazing on the rocks, on the glass, on the sand, on the coral plugs, and he's actually a workhorse. So I'm pretty happy that I purchased this guy. He's very peaceful. He is relatively small, and I don't think he's going to grow that much bigger. He's got some nice color, got a darker body with the yellow ring around his eyes, and he's got some spots on him, and it's hard to tell by the video, but he's different from the yellow-eye coal tang. They look similar in terms of body shape, but the patterns on the body is actually different. It's definitely something you want to add to your tank if you're considering adding tangs. I mean, this guy doesn't really grow that big, so he'll be perfect for most tanks. Alright, so tang number 2 is the orange shoulder tang, and I had bought this guy from a local reefer. And this guy is one of my favorites because he is always constantly working. So he's constantly grazing on the rocks, constantly grazing on the sand, on the glass, on the coral. So he's like right there next to the Bristletooth. I mean, this guy is a must-have if you have the space for him. So this guy, although he can grow really big, right now he's still relatively small, so I can have him for maybe a year or two before I have to probably sell him or give him away. But he's very peaceful, doesn't bother any of the other tangs, and he's also a beauty, I think. His colors are not bright, but that orange does glow, and his body is unique because half of it is kind of lighter and the other half is kind of dark. And then his tail's got this little white rim on it at the very end of his fin. So I think right now he looks okay. Once he gets older, his colors are going to mature and they're going to look more just more solid and more darker. But this guy's very peaceful. Right now he's about 3.5 to 4 inch, and he's just a workhorse. All right, tang number 3 is the yellow tang, and this one I think everyone has. He's got a very nice vibrant body. He's got a very unique body shape, and this guy does go around graze, but just not as much as the Bristletooth and the orange. But then this tang could get into some of the tight spaces and crevices, and that's where this tang shines. So you'll see this tang usually inside holes, try to just graze and do his work, get some algae. But this guy is kind of like a slow grazer. He's not as active as the first two, but he still does a job. So very beautiful. I paid about $30 for this guy, and he's been nothing but a great tang and a great grazer. Semi-aggressive, not probably the most peaceful one, so it's kind of territorial. Does put up a fight, but overall seems to be working well with these 5 tangs that I have. Next tang is the Naso tang. Now this guy very peaceful. It's kind of like a slow cruiser. Doesn't really dart in and out. He comes up to you. He's not scared of you. He grazes sometime, but rarely. I mean, I bought this Tang because of its sheer beauty, and when I was snorkeling out in Hawaii, I saw a few of these and I just thought they were really cool. Although not this specific blondie type, you know, but just the Naso Tang in general, like the basic one. But overall, he's gonna grow big, and he's probably already too big for this tank, but he's one of those tangs that you gotta have if you love tangs. So he's in here for now until he's too big. But I paid about $130 for him during the Black Friday special last year. Got about 30% off from the local LFS. So if that's something, you know, you want, I mean, if tangs are something that you're interested in, wait till there's a deal. Or any fish in general, wait till there's a deal, because they are pretty expensive. But yeah, this guy rarely grazes. He's always waiting for me to feed him. Every now and then I'll see him go around the rockwork and try to do some work, but really he's just a cruiser. And then last but not least, my blue Tang. This guy, I just bought him just for his color. I mean, he really does nothing for the tank. He's actually a bully. He's the one in charge. So if you look at all my other Tangs, you can tell that their fins have been bitten by this blue Tang. So that's what he does all day. He just swims around. He's in charge, even though he's smaller than the Naso. He puts them all in check. So the blue Tang is a very active swimmer. He's constantly swimming around, constantly moving. The only time I see him stop is if he's going to sleep or if he's scared. Other than that, he's constantly on the move, constantly looking around, constantly bullying other Tangs. So think twice if you want to get this Tang, but he does look very beautiful, and he brings in a different shade of color compared to the other Tangs that I have. And he complements them. Paid about $100 for that guy. He's a good maybe 5-inch, 5.5, something like that. Very great color. Again, not peaceful, so something to avoid if you don't really want an aggressive fish. And the other thing I hate about him is that he tends to move things around. So he'll move my coral, pick it up, throw it on the other side, move rocks around. He swims through corals, he breaks things, but that's just what he is, and that's what he does. So again, this is my 5 Tangs that I currently have in this tank, and I think there's already way too many in here, but because I love Tangs, I'm going to keep it in here as long as I can. But the first 2 to go will probably be the blue Tang and the Naso Tang in about a year or 2 from now. I'll decide. But yeah, these are the 5 Tangs that I currently have. If you have any questions, if you want more information about them, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. And again, these are the 5 Tangs that I have. Let me know what you guys think. Again, if you want to follow this journey of mine, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. That will really help me out a lot. And like always, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.